One thing we left out with Tom is real estate and how that looks. Katrina Campins, to do the honors, Fox News real estate contributor. Katrina, obviously, home prices keep going up, even as the crowd who can afford homes, that goes down. Their opportunities go down. So does this phenomenon still exist?
Hey, Neil, thanks for having me. It's still a really challenging real estate market, but with all of that said, as you mentioned, Neil, prices continue to rise, 4.2% to be exact. And although it's really difficult to make a blanket statement across the nation, because obviously every real estate market is different depending on the region and the economic factors within that market, as a whole, we still have very low supply in the market, right? We need 6 months of supply, and we just simply do not have that. New home sales, ironically, are doing better, as we've discussed, than existing home sales. I do anticipate lower interest rates, which will definitely help the market. As I mentioned, though, every market is different. South Florida, for instance, which is a market that continues to do well, like Miami-Dade County, Fort Lauderdale, and Palm Beach, we're seeing prices continue to rise about 8%, but yet that market has its own hurdles, that being property taxes, insurance, and we're also seeing Sarasota now it's getting hit time and time again with flooding issues. So as a whole, though, I do anticipate that after the election, Neil, we will begin to see happier times in the housing market, but I don't think it's going to happen overnight. And I also think that we need to realize there's going to be a drastic difference between single-family homes and condos, because condos are dealing with HOA fees going up, assessments going up, which are definitely affecting
a lot of
the real
people
estate
have
market
quit their homes in Florida as a result and put them on the market. I don't know how significantly that's boosted supply. I read the Florida papers, but is it your sense that there's been a sort of a move on the part of some Florida residents, not all, given these higher condo fees, given the soaring real estate taxes they're facing, that we could see a flattish supply in some of these states like Florida?
I think, Neil, we're very much going to see a lot of supply come into the market when it comes to condo sales.
Okay.
Why? Because a lot of people have retired in Florida, and they're getting hit with the assessments. They're getting hit with these fees that they simply can't keep up with. And so there's going to be a lot of condos come on the market. Single-family homes, not so much. I think that market's going to continue to do well, even if prices continue to appreciate at a slower pace. But the condo market, I'm really concerned about that market. Developers are trying to come in and buy these properties, but you have to get many times every condo owner to agree to sell to a developer, and there's just a lot of restrictions when it comes to that. But as a whole, real estate is a huge topic in the election, and we definitely need something to happen. Less regulations, and I know that tends to happen more on the state and local levels, but it's definitely a hot topic for Americans with inflation.
Real quickly on that, Katrina, then Kamala Harris has this plan to offer $25,000 to first-time home buyers. I just wonder what the fallout would be. No doubt it might spur some demand, but also could spur higher prices still, couldn't it?
I agree with you, Neil. I definitely do not think that that's the solution. I think, again, it reminds me of socialism within the housing market. I do not think that you should be giving $25,000 from taxpayers who have worked really hard, right? It's almost very similar to the student loan program that they proposed, where, basically you're getting money. We've been here before, where you're allowing people to buy homes that simply should not be purchasing. And I ultimately think that what's going to happen is it's just going to drive the cost of homes up, right, when there's more demand. So it's definitely not a easy solution, but we need more supply in the market. That's really the main challenge right now.
Yeah, it did happen with, you got better and bigger college loans. The college costs themselves went up. The same could happen to housing. We shall see. Always good seeing you, Katrina. Thank you very much.